The question is, rank the Oilers in order of their importance to the team's success in the playoffs. Um, I went and I'm see with that being the question, seeing your list, Liam, I have a ton of questions for you. I had McDavid, Skinner 1 and 2. You also had McDavid, Skinner 1 and 2. That feels
Mhm.
obvious, right? You're going to need Connor McDavid to be himself and carry the offense. And Stuart Skinner being at number 2, if you don't have goaltending, you're not going anywhere in the postseason. Mike Smith was good last year in a lot of the Oilers' wins in the postseason. They got that goaltending, and they'll need it from Stu.
Yeah, I mean, Stuart Skinner feels like the best player outside of Connor McDavid on most nights for the Edmonton Oilers. And yeah, in the postseason, you need the goaltender to show up. And especially down the stretch here, the Oilers need to start racking up some wins so they can get into that top three of the Pacific Division. And I think Stuart Skinner, we saw it the other night against who they played, Buffalo, where he essentially stole them that game with the amount of big saves he had. I know the Oilers had two saves wiped off, 2 goals wiped off the board, but I think Skinner's going to be a massive part of what the Oilers got to do here down the stretch.
Yeah, and then at my 3, I went with Leon Draisaitl because I know they played together in the playoffs last year, but I still believe that the best way for this team to have success throughout the course of a long playoff run is to have 2 really elite scoring lines in the top 6. I have Draisaitl at 3. They're going to need him to be just as big as he was in last year's playoffs. Hopefully he's healthy, and that means the production can come away from 97 as well. I have Leon at 3. You don't have Leon on your board at all. So take me through the thought process of your final 3 names and why you have no Leon.
I was trying to think a little bit outside the box, and maybe I thought too far outside the box. Obviously, Leon Draisaitl needs to be a big part of this team coming down the
Yeah.
stretch, but I'll take you through what I did. So Matthias Ekholm, obviously they brought him in to kind of stable the blue line a little bit, and so far we've seen that. And I think when down the stretch here and into the playoffs, like his style of play is going to be crucial, and I think it can be also very influential to what the other defensemen on this team are going to try and do too, with his physicality, him essentially just being a bit of an asshole and aggressive on the ice with when defense forwards in front of the net. So I like him at 3. I went with Evander Kane here for the reason of I think Evander Kane just needs to play games, and I think if he can
Yeah.
start scoring again, he brings another layer of offense to this team outside of McDavid and Draisaitl. So we saw the damage he could do down the stretch last season when he signed with the Oilers and then into the postseason. So I went with him at 4 for the reason of he needs to play. And I went with Evan Bouchard, which was probably an outside one, but I just thought about it. I was like, imagine if Evan Bouchard got everything going and was clicking on that power play, getting his shots through. His defensive game was kind of back to where it was last season a little bit. And I just thought, man, the damage that guy could put onto other teams would be something else. And he's better than what Tyson Berry could bring to this team. There's no disrespect to Tyson Berry, but Evan Bouchard has a better skill set than what Tyson Berry would have. So I was just kind of thinking if he could get everything flowing and start playing with a lot of confidence, then I think he'll be a huge part of what this team can be down the road.
Isn't it wild to think that Evander Kane is going to end up with less games played this year than he had last year? And we'll get to the lineup because he is expected to be back for tomorrow's game
Mm-hmm.
against the Bruins. But even if he plays in all 17 down the stretch, he's going to finish with 2 less games played than he had last year when he didn't even sign with the team until January. But I want to go back to flashing up the Big Five list, AB. Uh, Listen, the Draisaitl thing, like I think maybe you went a little bit too far out of the box. Like, I don't know. I think they could probably find ways to keep winning without Evan Bouchard being a huge
Sure.
factor, and I probably would have slotted Leon in there. I had him at 3. I have Ekholm at 4 because of the ripple effect that I think he could have on the rest of this blue line. If Matthias Ekholm is playing at his best, that makes Evan Bouchard better. That means you have a pairing you can trust with potentially some really heavy minutes, and that can make life easier on Nurse and Cece, which will make Nurse and Cece even more effective in the playoffs. So I really feel like in the domino effect that is their blue line, having Matthias Ekholm as a really, really solid number 1 piece, playing his best hockey, is probably the most important part of this entire equation. So that's why I put Ekholm at 4. And then at number 5, I really did think about this for quite a bit because I was like, okay, Ryan Nugent Hopkins is potentially going to be a 40-goal guy for this Oilers team. How can I not have him in the mix as one of these top 5? But then I got to thinking, okay, but he's probably going to be playing on the wing and doing a lot of his scoring on the power play, which we love. But that is probably his success is probably